We've got the Los Angeles Chargers versus the Cleveland Browns. LA, 3-point favorite with an over-under of 45.5. The Browns have won 2 games this season. Before then, they had just won 1 game in the past 2 seasons. Everybody knows that. But that 1 game, it was against the Chargers in Cleveland. It's time to buy stock in the Browns, baby, because Myles Garrett got in on the ground floor just like Steve Jobs, and he is riding them all the way to the top. I thought the Chargers would win this game. I think they're on the rise, but when I saw this...
What up, though? This is Big Snoop Dogg. Dog Pound, y'all better turn up this week, man. Y'all got a new feeling, new spirit. Let's go get it done, Dog Pound.
Snoop ditching the Steelers for the Browns bandwagon? Snoop does have a show with Martha Stewart, someone with an intimate knowledge of trading and buying stocks, so buy the fucking Browns. Give me Cleveland. I am Brandon Perna. This is That's Good Sports. Please sub if you're new here. And today I will pick all of your NFL games with point spreads. Except like those assholes on ESPN and NFL Network, I won't pretend like I know what the hell I'm talking about. Week 6 picks. They're in. This episode is sponsored by BetDSI.com, one of the best and most trusted sports books out there. Use my code GS100 and BetDSI is going to match your first deposit all the way up to $1,000. That's a free $1,000 to lose if you follow my betting advice. And if you're going to bet on a team to win this week, bet on the Bears at the Dolphins. Bears are 3.5-point favorites with an over-under of 41.5. If not for Dan Marino and the Miami Dolphins, the Chicago Bears would have gone 19-0 in 1985, and we'd be talking about them as the greatest team ever instead of just the best defense ever. Instead, Mercury Morris is still popping champagne every year, and Jim McMahon, well, poor Jim McMahon doesn't even know what fucking year it is because of CTE. The Bears have a great defense once again, and the Dolphins are quickly losing their grasp on the AFC East. They're hanging on to that cliff, and the Patriots are smashing their fingers with a hammer one by one. Oh, and I know what's at the bottom of that cliff. It's the cold realization that Ryan Tannehill isn't the guy, and that giving a significant number of carries to Frank Gore isn't a recipe for success in the year of 2018. Again, I'm taking the Bears to cover the spread as well. Carolina Panthers at Washington Redskins Potatoes. The Skins 1-point favorites with an over-under of 44.5. This is my lock of the week. I'm not sure how Washington is favored. Probably because their defense is still 5th best in points allowed per game after Drew Brees eviscerated them for his record. But on Wednesday, I bet 75 on the Panthers to cover that 1-point spread. After giving up the passing yards record to Drew Brees in prime time, I think Washington will have to be extra careful not to give up 46,147 passing yards to Cam Newton and have another record set on their watch on Sunday. I was high on the Panthers. I'm less high on the Panthers now. Now that the Giants look far less impressive after Geno Smith publicly defended Ben McAdoo, after the Giants look like the worst team in the NFL on Thursday Night Football. So my lock of the week, no longer a lock, but I'm sticking with the Panthers. New York Jets versus Indianapolis Colts. The Jets are now 2-point favorites, over under 45.5. The Colts are going to have to beat the Jets without their starting guard Matt Slauson. This lazy, soft son of a dog whistle isn't playing because he broke 2 vertebrae in his spine during the Patriots game. Slauson broke his spine in the 3rd quarter and didn't miss a snap in the entire game. So if he can finish playing on the same day he broke the most flexible bones in his body, why is he deciding to basically collect a welfare check like a socialist Bernie Sanders loving lib for the rest of the year? Sounds like Andrew Luck rubbed off on him. The Jets are coming off their most dominant win since Ryan Fitzmagic performed his greatest trick and made Big Dick Decker disappear and reappear inside the Titans' end zone in a 30-8 blowout in 2015. Like magic, nobody believes in the Colts, except for me. I'm taking the Colts. Pittsburgh Steelers versus Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are a 1.5-point favorite with an over-under of 51.5. The NFC North is the bizarro conference right now. The Browns might actually be the best team in that division. Joe Flacco could be on the cover of GQ. And the Steelers have more drama than Vontaze Burfict guest appearing on Real Housewives of Adam Jones strippers. Antonio Brown is complaining about not getting the ball, throwing shit off of balconies, and not bleeding black and gold like Hines Ward. Oh wait, I'm sorry. That says back gold. That must be a Le'Veon Bell quote. Le'Veon, I want my next contract to be so lucrative that if I break my vertebrae like Matt Slauson, I bleed out back gold. The Steelers could use Joey Porter back in the middle of the fucking field playing linebacker for this division game on the road. The Bengals aren't top 5 in any category. Total offense, total defense, passing, rushing, run stopping, or passing yards allowed. And give up an 11th worst 26 points per game, but a 4-1 record says they're one of the best teams in the league right now. Since it is better if they continue to fly under the radar, I'm taking the Steelers, who remembered they can actually run the ball last week. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Atlanta Falcons. Falcons 3-point favorites, over under 57. Matt Ryan did not fracture his foot, and unlike Matt Slauson, he left the game. That's about the only injury news that has gone the Falcons' way this season. Look, I am tired of making Julio Jones not scoring touchdown jokes. The only person that scored less than Julio Jones in 2018 is this poor bastard on Twitter named, unfortunately, Brett Kavanaugh. He and my friend Oliver James Simpson should probably form a support group. Falcons at home, although Jameis Winston will probably have one of those games where he throws for 400 yards and everybody thinks he's a good quarterback again. He's not. Seattle Seahawks at Oakland Raiders in London. Seattle, 2.5-point favorites with an over-under of 48. Lucky 48 for the Seahawks. This game is being played all the way over in merry old England, which means if you're going to watch it, you're going to have to wake up at an ungodly hour of 7:30 a.m. on a Sunday and 6:30 on the West Coast. Only time I will willingly get up that early on a Sunday is if my house is on fire. And even then, I might just let it kill me and become a hero like Jack from This Is Us. That's not true. I'm no hero. I'm a coward. Yeah, I'd end up like Casey Affleck from Manchester by the Sea. But instead of burning my children to death, because I have none, I'd be ruined for the rest of my life after never being able to recover for letting my collection of used Barry Bonds syringes burn in the fire. Spoiler alert. Speaking of Milo Ventimiglia and Casey Affleck, many people say Milo and I have a very similar face. And Casey Affleck and I have a very similar unsatisfying cock that makes it impossible to fantasize that they're sleeping with our older, more handsome, bigger, normal-cocked brother, Ben. Seahawks win. Buffalo Bills at Houston Texans. Texans, a giant 10-point favorite, over-under of 41. The Bills might actually be the strangest team in football. They're clearly not a good team, and yet all they know how to do is beat good teams. They're like if Michael Bay randomly directed a couple Oscar winners in between Pearl Harbor and Transformers 3. Is it an anomaly, or is Josh Allen slowly figuring out that if you miss your receiver so badly, it might actually be the perfect pass to the receiver you weren't throwing to? How can you defend that if the quarterback doesn't even know where he's throwing? The Texans might be starting to figure out how to win again, but they've only beaten the Colts and the Cowboys. They're underachieving, which was my elementary school teacher's favorite euphemism for your son is very stupid and you should be ashamed. J.J. Watt is the classic teacher's pet. The guy who raises his hand and says, Miss Sanchez, you forgot to assign homework this week. So expect the Texans to be prepared for this one. Overly prepared. I'll take the Texans, but not to cover the 10-point spread. Arizona Cardinals at Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings, 10-point favorites with an over-under of 43. The only person in Minnesota Jimmy Butler has not insulted is Linville Joseph. It is impossible to insult a 300-pound man who is faster than you, and Jimmy Butler respects that. Joseph actually now has more rushing yards than the Vikings and Cardinals combined, both dead last in the NFL in yards per game. Josh Rosen gets his second or third start, and slowly but surely, he's starting to grow up in front of our very eyes, going from a less handsome Aaron Rodgers in 2005 to a less handsome Aaron Rodgers in 2018. You watch out, because Josh Rosen, pretty soon you might be dating less attractive versions of Olivia Munn and Danica Patrick. which is still pretty damn good if you ask me. Los Angeles Rams at Denver Broncos. Rams 7-point favorites with an over-under of 51.5. That episode will be up tomorrow morning. Special episode for the Broncos, even though they don't really deserve it anymore. Jacksonville Jaguars versus Dallas Cowboys. The Jags, 3-point favorites with an over-under of 40.5. The Jaguars have lost 2 of 3, but the cure for what ails them may be the Dallas Cowboys. On the bright side for Dallas, they don't have a number 1 receiver for Jalen Ramsey to lock up on Sunday, or a number 2, or a number 3, or a tight end. Jalen Ramsey will be an edge rusher on Sunday. If Texas wasn't so conservative, I wouldn't be surprised to see them try and use stem cells to clone Ezekiel Elliott, just like I am doing with Milo Ventimiglia and Casey Affleck. Even I have to do unspeakable things to become famous. Baltimore Ravens at Tennessee Titans. The Ravens 2.5-point favorites, over under 41.5. 2 of the stingiest defenses in the league go head to head. And unlike the Bears defense, the Ravens and Titans make us question whether or not we really do like watching football on Sunday. Both of these teams lost last week because what fucking idiot would take the Ravens over the Browns or the Titans over the Bills? This fucking idiot. This idiot on YouTube pretending to be able to hang with the big boy football talkers on real TV. This idiot who's been fucked by the Browns more than the goddamn Browns this year. The only reason I'm taking the stupid Ravens is because I think they actually have an offense. Sometimes. I'm sorry, Titans tube. I want to like your team. But like the father I will be one day, they let me down when I need them the most. Kansas City Chiefs at New England Patriots. The Patriots are 3.5-point favorites with a huge over-under 59.5. It's the game of the week, and not often do I have to root for the Kansas City Chiefs to get a win. But this is just one of those crazy weeks. It's a little bit like rooting for Alien to beat Predator. But if we're being honest, I always am rooting for the aliens. It's the same thing in every movie. Some idiot space colonists find a planet that looks all right, and sure enough, they end up stepping on some alien eggs or whatever. How about mind your own business, and you won't get an alien baby bursting out of your goddamn chest? Ever think about that? I think the Patriots are mostly going to dismantle the Chiefs. Mostly.
And they mostly come at night. Mostly.
Game over, Mahomes. Game over.
Game over, man. It's game over.
San Francisco 49ers at Green Bay Packers. Packers heavily favored by 9.5 points, 46.5 over-under. I'm going to take the Packers, unless, of course, Mike McCarthy turns on Aaron Rodgers like Mason Crosby and Clay Matthews have. Aaron Rodgers said he suffered a setback after playing the Lions last week. No shit, Aaron. Just sit out a week or two, man. Your knee will never heal. Your future is staring you right in the face this week, and that future is bleak, very bleak. 1 knee injury, top 5 quarterback ever, hundreds of millions of dollars, and a Super Bowl ring. Tragic. CJ Beathard hasn't led the 49ers to a win since he took over for Jimmy G, and that's because you can't trust a quarterback with initials. CJ Beathard, AJ McCarron, AJ Feely, TJ Yates. Not the most inspiring group of passers. The only great quarterback with initials was Y.A. Tittle. And that's because he had Tit in his name. That's why he was so good. Thanks for watching another episode of That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube. Big shout out to Will Keys, who helps me with these episodes. Follow him on Twitter at WillKeys6. We do a weekly podcast on my second channel, That's Good Podcasts. Sub there if you want. Fudge.